Hey class, Doug Brown here. Welcome to our second week, Ethical Theory. Great week last week. Impressed with the discussions and the work that you've done. Started working on a grading, and I'll try to get that back to you as soon as I can, your discussions and your other assignments. We're going to build upon what we did last week. We had a real good overview, basic understanding of some of the main principles of ethical theory. This week we're going to take a little bit look at religion and morality. There's a bit of a connection between ethical theory and morality. Now there's some you'll find some, especially those that support Marxism, Karl Marx, etc. Didn't like religion. They didn't think it was a basis of whatever. There should be some different rules in society that we set as man. He didn't like religion. He thought it changed us too much and sort of changed the law and the ethics and the different principles. But we see others like Kant, for example, who totally support ethics. Descartes talked about it, and he totally supports morality. And there seems to be, no matter what we do, it seems to me if you take a look at the laws and you take a look at morality and ethical principles, there really is this basis for morality in religion. And a lot of that, I think, is built upon society. It's built upon our culture. There was a lot of support religion, back in a common era, and that seems to have really carried on when we historically take a look at the laws. Now, I think that's probably more the case. Religion and morality seem to really connect when we take a look at Western society, and I'm sure it does in other areas too. When we look, especially in those Islamic countries, there's a huge connection. But when we look at Western society, I think we really can see the connection between the religious principles and what we have today in morality, and that reflects upon our ethics, theory, and that certainly reflects upon our laws. But this isn't really about laws. It's really about the connection between religion and morality. And historically, we take a look at Abraham. We talk a little bit about Abraham's son and his command from God to demonstrate that he could follow him, by sacrificing his son. And then, of course, most of us know the story. At the end, he hears this voice from God that says, "Don't do it. I just wanted to see if you would do it, if you were faithful enough to follow me." So I think that goes back to, really some of the morality that we have. We have a discussion this week, couple of discussions this week in the short course, our paper. We'll take a look at those 10 commandments. Those are some sources that you can take a look at, but we really are going to identify the ethical command. I want you to do that, please. Identify an ethical command that has a religious connection, such as it could be identified as a divine command. And we talk a little bit about divine commands as far as ethical principles. Those are things that we feel that comes from a higher being, from God, if you will, that we should follow, that directs us to do right from wrong, to make those good choices. And again, I think it goes back to where we are with morality and ethics in society, because we all feel like there's this divine command, at least to a degree, that we should follow, and that we should do the right thing, often again based upon the 10 commandments. That's a good source. So take a look at that, describe in detail how it can be said that there's also a sign of reason or logic, either implicit or explicit, is in your chosen command. So is there any logic in that? Any signs of logic based upon that divine command? Or is it just something we're supposed to do? Are we supposed to think about it? And I think when you look at logic, when we get really into the deep thoughts about it, if you think about from the religious principles, when you take a look at the logic, there really is some logic involved in divine commands based upon what we should be doing or shouldn't be doing, and there's a reason for it all. And I think that's important. Now, a lot of times in religion, of course, just sort of a sidebar in religion, when we think about divine commands, we're often told that we shouldn't think about the logic or question it while we're being given this divine command. We should just do it. But if we examine it closely, we may or may not find the reason or logic behind this divine command, the thing that we are being told to do, that's right or wrong. So respond to 3 of your classmates offering a general response. Make sure you take a look at that. Obviously, in this case, you'll have to cite your work following APA, if you don't mind. And then this will end up requiring, the end result is 4 posts for the initial post. So make sure you do that. Some of you have already gotten started, and I appreciate you jumping in on the discussions. Okay, our second discussion this week. Reflect on how your own religious or philosophical background, or lack thereof, either informs or influences the way that you approach ethical decision making. Now, I'll tell you why this is all interesting to me and why it's all important. We're not just having this class about ethical theory. We're talking about it's a class you got to take. Your advisor said, hey, you got to take it. In our line of work in public safety, we really do need to be concerned about ethical reasoning, the decision making, the choices we make, right and wrong, because we affect the public. It's not just what we do in our lives and our careers, but our decisions affect the public. Now, on the fire side, EMS, obviously, we're not in the business of typically giving people free rides, so there's no tit for tat. But on the law enforcement side, there certainly could be a case made that making the right decisions, doing something, sort of tit for tat, taking something and, giving something to receive something in exchange, not citing a person for speeding, etc., taking a bribe, those sort of things could be built in that. But it still makes a difference, I think, in the fire and EMS world about our ethical decision making, because we do have a lot of opportunities to make decisions either right or wrong. So I think that's one of the cool and important points about this class. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get some good information. Again, this week seems to be one of those great discussions. It's always very active when compared in the past. We sort of kind of do the minimum in some of the other ones historically, but in this one, because we do have those biblical and religious background overtones, if you will, that connection, there always seems to be an opinion, lots of opinions on our week, on our module this week, in our discussion that we have, really trying to understand this argument between religion and morality. Now, again, I want to see both sides. I want to see those sides where we say, yeah, absolutely, we look at the Ten Commandments, etc. We have these divine commands, and we know that there's some connection there between morality and ethics and religion. But I'd like to see the other side. Surely there's someone that opposes that and says, no, it's not, maybe the following Karl Marx. No, it's not there. There's no connection. This is ethical principles, and morality is not based upon religion. It's really based upon just the right thing to do. Just take a look at Marx and some of those others, and tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Try to find some place to disagree with this. Don't just go down the line and say, yep, it's all connected. I'd really like to see someone jump in and say, no, I don't think it's connected whatsoever. Even if you don't believe that, maybe share that opposing view so that we keep the discussions going this week on our assignment, because I think it would be good to have an opposing view, someone that says, look, there's no fundamental connection between religion or not, or maybe there shouldn't be. Maybe there is, but maybe there shouldn't be, and then maybe you could share your thoughts on that. So lots of information this week. It's a busy week. A lot of information in the textbook. Now look, let's talk about the textbook a little bit. If you hadn't received your textbook, that's fine. Just got mine today. It's taken a little while to get those processed. I'll send some information out in an announcement. But if you're going to be in class a while, take a look at some of those different textbooks that's available. Synergy Learning now has a process to paying $100 a book or whatever. You can sign up and have online access for the entire semester for $119 and get all the books you want for that $119. It's all electronic. If you're like me, I like to have a book in my hand, but also, a hard copy. But it's also a good way to get an electronic book, and it saves a lot of money. Books are not cheap. I tend to keep all my books. Some people sell them back, but anyway, just something to think about. Good week. Good week last week. I think we'll have a good week this week. Take a look at those announcements. I want you to please pay close attention to the examples I share, and I want your discussions, what your paper should look like. I'm a big proponent for APA. You'll see that. You'll see me get a lot of feedback on the material, a lot of feedback on APA. And I don't deduct a lot of points for APA, but I do think it's important. I do want you to make sure your grammar's correct. Use a Word or a similar program. Save the information for me. Check your grammar, check your spelling. Make sure you support your work using APA. It takes a little work, and I'll give you some feedback on this first assignment, first couple of assignments, and help you with that. So don't stress. We'll get there if you haven't used it in a while. If you need me, let me know. I'm always available via email, phone, text, and I'll do everything I can to help you. Should be a great week. Look forward to working with you. See you in the discussion.